thing. Here we are again, beginning out this idea here with being available. And the first key to being available is accepting the mission that God has assigned to each and every one of his people. If you're a Christian, if you know Jesus, you're called to be a witness to what he has done in the world and in your life. So your mission, if you choose to accept it. What does it mean to accept God's mission? Well, you're accepting it as your own, and you're recognizing that God's mission is here, wherever you happen to be. It's now, it's urgent, and it's also me, you, whoever it is, viewer, listener, whatever it is, wherever you are, whoever you are called to be a witness to Christ. And so when we accept God's mission as our own, that's what's entailed here. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into it, but I want to give Scott a chance to react to chapter 3 here. You've had a whole week to take a look at this funny story. We were in here last week, by the way, and Scott, if you want something from God, you have got to call Scott to come over and to pray with you. But be careful what you ask for, because Scott asked for a surge of power, a boost of power, and we didn't even finish the prayer. The whole room, the whole building, the whole block went dark.
a little, be more specific.
Be careful. Yes, be very specific, because you never know. Anyway, so if you missed this last week, we were sitting here waiting to get started, and interesting week last week. So
yes.
So Scott, chapter 3, available, acceptance, here now me. What's your how did you respond to this? What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess I think we talked about this in the previous chapter, maybe, but we talk about going out in the mission field, and a lot of that usually means you get in a car or you get on a plane and you fly to some place far away to do things, to try to bring people to Jesus. And
usually a warm, sunny place.
Yeah, a warm, sunny place. Maybe where there's
beaches.
a beach somewhere. Or
the church, this church, at some point under Pastor Charlie, they used to go to the Bahamas.
Okay.
For a mission trip every year.
I missed that. So
I heard about it. I don't know a whole lot of detail, but I'm pretty sure it's the Bahamas or Bermuda or something like that.
Some great place. Yeah. Anyway, so this is saying you should do it where you are and who you should happen to come across.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you have to be ready for that.
That's right. And you actually asked me a question last time.
I don't remember.
It was you're kind of dancing around it a little bit. Not on, obviously you're not thinking about it, but what you're saying triggered in my head the question. And I don't know if it was a question, how you phrased the question, but it was about this idea about, could we say, instead of go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded you? Or could we say, like, as you go?
Yes, I remember that.
And actually, that is a popular interpretation of that word in Matthew 28, that it's a participle, and it as you are going.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not sure about the Greek, actually. Like, I forget the exact way you would explain that, but grammatically at least. But the point is that, and there's even some books that say that. Like, I have a book on my shelf that says, as you are going. So there's a way to reach people where you live, work, play, go to school, all the different life comings and goings, where you shop, where you eat, all of the things that you do. As you are going, you are a witness to Jesus. So it's not, let's go hop on a plane. Right.
Let's go somewhere. It's as you go throughout your day.
Mm-hmm.
And also when you're doing that, I don't know how this fits in, but don't catch people by surprise.
Yeah, why not?
Because one time in college, I was coming back from an event at night at the university, and I was just met by someone. I think they came out of the Baptist Student Union, and they just asked me a question out of the blue, and I'm thinking about, okay, which way am I going to go home, or do I need to eat, or whatever? And I was like, what are you talking about? What are you asking me? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not generally a good idea late at night, college campuses, especially if there's drinking involved. Don't try to convert drunk people.
Yeah, there wasn't any drinking involved that I know of.
Yeah,
but.
well, I didn't. I wasn't trying to say that's what you were doing, but just generally, somebody said that to me very recently.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to evangelize drunk people. Like, it's not. Or sneak out of the shadows and surprise them.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. You don't want to scare the daylights out of people like that. But plus, as we're going to go through this, is there a place for that kind of evangelism, sort of confrontational evangelism or street evangelism? Yes, I think there's a place for that. But is that something that all Christians are called to do, or that all Christians will do? No.
Okay.
And I think that's an important distinction to make, that being available is accepting that you are a witness for Christ, whether or not you have a special gifting of any kind. And what we're here to talk about and to explain is the most effective way to actually reach people is with a relationship. You know, people take your word, believe your word, when there is a fair amount of credibility behind it. So I don't want to go too much into that because that comes up later in the book. But right now, that what we're saying is we got to hash through all these things, these objections where, oh, I got to go stand in the street corner. Oh, I got to surprise people. Oh, I got to twist people's arms. Oh, I got to be like a jerk about all this stuff. No, this is as you are going, where you live, where you work, where you play, where you go to school, where you do life. And if you're going to be a missionary, a witness, where you do life, you generally want to be able to continue to do life in those places. Don't make it weird, don't make it awkward. Don't be like, that's some of what we'll be talking about, right?
Yeah, so I didn't know this guy. So that was one thing. Who are you and why are you talking to me? And why are you asking me questions?
Yep.
So, yeah. Seemed nice enough. He had good intentions, I think. So I wasn't like intimidated, like a threat to my life or anything, but.
Well, and there's like by the end of this, maybe you feel inspired, like, yeah, God's mission is my mission. And I do accept it. It is here. It is now. It is me. And, the Holy Spirit might send you a boost of power right now. And you just feel like, oh, my goodness, I got to do something about this.
Right.
Okay. If you have that kind of thing overtake you, the thing that you can do, and maybe God wants you to do something and just jump out and scare somebody half to death. But one thing that we know you can do, because maybe that's not it, right? One thing you definitely can do is pray. You can pray for God to reveal to you the people that he wants you to witness to, the people in your life, in your circle that need Jesus, that don't know Jesus. You can start with that. Reveal this to me, Lord. Provide opportunities. Let me pray for them. I know they don't know Jesus, and I want them to know Jesus. Lord, help them come to know Jesus. Use me if you will, right? As you will. So that's a place to start. And even beyond that, if you know of a need or something like that, or you could just call them and say hi if you have a close relationship with them. Or if you see them at a particular location when you go there, you can go there and just have a conversation with them like you normally would. Foster that relationship. There are things you can do right now if you feel that urge, if you're moved by the Spirit to take action immediately, okay? But you can't immediately make people Christians.
All right.
We've talked about this a little bit, I think, already. It's been a few weeks since we started, but the Holy Spirit does all the heavy lifting. So if you're doing the lifting, something ain't right. Right? So you may have that moment, but think for a second, pray for a second. Okay, God, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to be obedient, to be a vessel, to be a conduit for what you want to do through me? So that's a place to start, but you have to accept it as your own. You have to accept that it is here. One of the, I think it's in the chapter also, this Bible passage, it's in Mark 5, I believe. Jesus shows up in a boat. He gets off the boat. There's this guy, he's demon possessed. He's, I think, like naked and like he's been chained up many times, but he just breaks through the chains. There's these demons that are just so powerful at work in him, consuming him. And he heals the man. He cleanses him of all the evil spirits. And by the end of this whole ordeal, the people in the area actually want Jesus to leave. Because when he casts out the demons, they're like communicating with Jesus and they're like, oh no, don't send us into outer darkness or something like that. And they're like, well, okay, where do you want to go? Send us into those pigs. Okay. So they send him into pigs. Now, you know that this is not a Jewish area if there are a bunch of pigs around.
Right.
Like people are herding and raising pigs. Pork, bad, not kosher, literally. So Jesus sends them in the pigs. They do this nosedive off the side of a cliff or something. They go into some water. They all drown. People are pretty ticked off about this. I mean, imagine your livelihood.
Just took a dive into the lake.
Yeah, your computer is how you live, and then all of a sudden it's invaded by a bunch of demons, and the computer just blows up.
Yeah.
Right? Or your income is coming from stocks, companies, right? And they're paying you dividends, and that's your income, and the companies all collapse overnight, bankruptcy or something. I don't know. I'm trying to modernize it for us. You're going to be pretty upset at the guy who did it, especially if he did it right in front of you.
Right.
So they run Jesus off. They say, get out of here. I think this is also in Matthew as well. I forget what chapter. Similar passage, a parallel passage. So Jesus and his disciples leave. But again, it's a non-Jewish area, so it's not really fertile ground to hear the message that the Messiah has come. They don't have that foundation to build on. You're starting from scratch with them. And he just upset their entire life. He's got to go. They're not going to hear it from him, at least not yet. I think people underestimate just how untrustworthy preachers are in the eyes of your average American, let alone average non-Christian American or non-practicing. There's a reason why they don't go to church and listen to a guy talk forever and lead a worship service. Like that, even if they believe in Jesus, spiritual but not religious, whatever the case is, there's clearly like a trust factor going on there.
Right.
So if you think it's up to your pastor to go do all this, I can tell you from experience, it's a very narrow group of people that are outside of a church frankly, or inside of a church for that matter, that care what I say, that have any sort of respect for my opinion. They just go, oh, well, you got into the religion business and now you're trying to sell me religion. It's like a guy who's in the car business trying to sell someone a car. Leave me alone. I don't want your car. Like, you just have this, I know you have this vested interest, and right?
Right.
It's not my pastor does this and therefore I don't have to. It's you. And as the story continues, Jesus leaves. The guy that he cleanses of the evil spirits says, hey, can I come with you? And he says, no. Right? Jesus' answer is not always the same. Like, there's not, well, Jesus always says, come follow me.
We'll go and pick flowers in the field.
Yeah. Or come sell all that you have. Like, he doesn't say that to everybody. He said it to the rich young guy that was his thing. That was his issue. To this guy, he says, no, go to your home, go to your family and your own people and tell them how much God has done for you. And then he leaves. Now, if you know anyone in the deaf Christian community, they know this story pretty well. Because a couple of chapters later, it says that Jesus is back in this area, the Decapolis area. I don't think they mentioned the name of the Gerasenes, I think is what it is. I don't think they mentioned that, but it is that region. And now he's back, and the people bring someone to him. And it's a man who can't hear. Where he's deaf, he's mute, he's got these problems. And he's the only person that doesn't know about Jesus yet. Theoretically, at least that's how the deaf community kind of talks about, deaf Christian community. And they bring him to Jesus. Jesus heals him. He can hear the message. Hey, now everybody knows about Jesus. So this man was left to tell his family and friends, the people of his household and his community, how much God has done for him. And now when Jesus comes back, they don't all run him off. They bring someone to him so that this person can hear directly from him. I think that's Mark 7. So Mark 5 is the beginning, the whole thing with the pigs, and then 7 or 8, they bring him this guy. And it's kind of like a special story, again, for the deaf community. It takes a lot to prepare hard ground. Mm-hmm. And we are living in an age and in a culture where the soil it's a hard ground.
Yeah.
I think I've said this before, I forget, there's a book where this comes from, and I don't remember the name of the book or the author, but they get credit for coming up with this, not me. If you have 0 to 10, 0 is absolutely no interest or knowledge about God or Jesus or anything like that, and 10 is I believe in Jesus, I'm a Christian. It used to be that your average person was, say, a 7. So if your neighbor is a 7, you go to your neighbor and you say, hey, why don't you come to church with me? And they, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go to church. They have this history, they have this culture around them that teaches them right and wrong and the need for forgiveness. And yeah, there's a God and Jesus is kind of a real guy. And so there are these people that believe in Jesus and they're kind of good. I like these people. I believe good things about them. I think they have good intentions. All these things make this person a 7. So you invite them to church. They come to church. They hear a good sermon. And they go, I believe in Jesus. I'm coming to church. I'm going to be a good member. I'm going to tithe. I'm going to serve, I'm going to do all these things. Well, today is not like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Today, people are more like a 2, maybe a 3. So if you go to that person, you try to have a conversation with them and convert them, or you try to invite them to your church so they can hear a message from your pastor. If they come to church as a 3 or a 2, that experience might actually make it more difficult to share Jesus with them, because they're so far from understanding anything that's going on. They're far more suspicious about what goes on and judgmental about whatever it is they might hear, that it might actually cause them to shut down, close themselves off from this for a while, even more so than they already are. So how do you slowly plow that ground? It takes time. And it takes someone like you, listener, viewer, it takes someone like you to witness to Christ as you go. That's what this guy did in Gospel of Mark. And eventually, they were ready to receive it. So, your mission, if you choose to accept it, it is here, wherever you are right now. That is where God is calling you to be a witness to Christ and what he has done in your life. Now, we got to move on to the now part. Okay, we've got a location idea that we have to accept if we're going to accept Jesus' mission as our own. But we also have to have a timeline and urgency. And there are some very moving stories in here about particularly my co-author, my friend Bruce. He has a story about his brother who kind of got mixed up with a bad crowd. And before he ever had a chance to really talk to him about this, at the age of 25, two of his unsavory friends took his life. And so, I've talked with Bruce about this a few times. I think there was a tape or tapes. This is the age of cassette tapes. If you know what a cassette tape is, you are over the age of at least 40, maybe 35. But I think there was something about some cassette tapes, maybe recorded sermons that he had given to him and that he believed he had been listening to, and so he felt better about his brother. But there's still that doubt. Mm-hmm. And there's still that guilt and frustration about, oh my goodness, I should have tried harder. I thought I had more time. I don't know where he was at, but I know that it was a crazy path that he was on. Mm-hmm. And you never know when your time is up. You never know when the people around you, when their number comes up. So don't waste the opportunities. Now, we can't force people into the kingdom. We can't twist their arms in. But are we taking the steps to get to where we need to be? Are we looking for the opportunities in our conversations and in our day-to-day interactions with them that actually maybe are serving up opportunities on a silver platter that we're just not seizing? Sometimes that's the case too. There's an opportunity, and I think it does annoy people more than we realize when we try to turn everything into a conversation about Jesus. We don't want to do that and make them want to stay as far away from us as possible, right? But sometimes there's an opportunity to, at the very least, say, it's a very interesting comment. That's a very interesting question. I'd love to talk to you about it. I don't know how much you want to hear about my faith, but I do believe it's the most important thing in my life, and it's for you too, and I want you to have that. So if there's an opportunity for me to share, please let me know. I just don't want to, just be open and honest about it. Because it's now. A person can walk away, take 3 steps, get hit by a bus. Some kind of other violence, some kind of disease, a heart attack, stroke, things like that happen every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, something tragic is happening somewhere around the world, somewhere in your own city or town or county, parish, state. Multiple things are happening. Don't wait. If you're going to accept your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to accept Jesus' mission as your own and to recognize that it is here, wherever he has located you, wherever you're planted right now. It is now, right? It is urgent. It is pressing. People's lives and eternities are on the line. This is some of the stuff we talked about in the parables that we often gloss over, that our culture tells us not to talk about. Hell is not a thing. God wouldn't send people to hell. And I don't know. Jesus said an awful lot about it, so we should probably take it seriously. Oh, Jesus didn't say anything about homosexuality, so we shouldn't talk about that, right? So that we get that. Okay, but what about the things he did actually talk about? He does talk about in and out. The time is short. Don't fall asleep. Get busy.
Be ready with your oil and your lamps.
Be ready with your oil and your lamps. 1 Peter 3, always be prepared to give an answer for the reason for the hope that is within you, but do it with gentleness and respect. So.
I was thinking about, we talked about Joe Rogan a little bit before we started, and
delusions of grandeur, yes. We are slowly creeping up. We are catching him, I believe, in viewers.
Yeah, okay. I think. So I don't know how exactly all of how he was raised and what he was brought up in. I don't remember all that part of his story, but, recently there have been people that were on his show that, impacted his thoughts about, is the Bible real?
Yeah, he's had Wes Huff on.
Yeah, Wes Huff on, because I know he was, like a lot of people say, yeah, well, the Bible it's an old book and it's been translated and translated and translated and,
Yes.
Yeah, all this that's kind of, who knows if it really even says whatever. I think he had that thought, and then Wes Huff kind of cured him of some of that. And I think he has been going to church or has gone to church with, I don't know, with his family or what, but he at least he said that, he says, I don't know what it is, but, and I don't, what people think, but when I was at church, the Christian people at the church were some of the nicest, not necessarily nice, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
The best people.
Yeah, some of the best people to be around, like legit people, not some scoundrels or whatever. And not to say there's not a scoundrel or two or whatever lurking in a church, but but I was like, wow, I guess Wes Huff was there and was able to share something that got him more interested. I think Jordan Peterson was also on a show at some point that, said some things that probably piqued his interest, and other people too along the way. He's had some creationist, scientists.
Yeah, Stephen Meyer, I think was on.
Yeah, Stephen Meyer and that type of thing. So there's, there's a lot of different ways, I guess, that you could share this depending on your background and your understanding.
You should have John Lennox on. Has he had John Lennox on?
He has not, but that would be awesome.
He needs John Lennox on. So this brings up a really good point here. We've gone from here to now. Me, right? It's you. It's you. It's me. It's each and every one of us. People we know, people we interact with need Jesus. And you never know when it's like my buddy Bruce, his brother, or the other story he shared about his nephew, who last time he saw him at a family thing, 2 months later, he died of alcohol poisoning due to his addiction. You never know when it's their last hour their last minute, their last day, the last time you will have an opportunity to say something, to be some sort of positive influence in them. But what I like about what you're sharing with Joe Rogan, it brought to mind something, I think it was actually Joy Hartley shared it when we had a gathering for like leaders at some point. She told this story about a pastor, one of her pastors throughout her life, who had said something like, we each have a role, and it might take, the average person is like 30 interactions with someone before they confess Christ, before they become a Christian. And you don't know what role you play. You may be the person who gets to be there right at the end, or say, I believe in Jesus. Can I get baptized? Can I stand before the congregation and affirm my faith in Jesus and, all of that, and then be a part of their ongoing discipleship afterward. You don't know if it's that, or if it's the first in a line of 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 or 1,000 people that is just like chipping away at that hardened heart, that rough exterior shell that they have built up over the years to religious people because of bad experiences, because of bad culture around them, fostering this kind of attitude. You never know what part you have, but you have a part. I have a part. And as a pastor, sometimes I have wanted the glorious part, like, hey, let's just have all these adults come to faith in Christ, and we'll have a great little statistic to share with our denomination that, hey, look at Pastor Ramos Church doing all this.
We can have a
stuff.
number. We can put it on the wall.
Yeah. But the reality is that maybe my job in the chain, maybe my most frequent job in the chain for lots of people, is to be that pastor who's not a total jerk.
Yeah.
Who's a real guy, who's a forgiving guy, who tries to live in line with his value, can't and doesn't and fails and all that kind of stuff. I mean, just the number of times I've heard people say, because I said something like, oh, I'm sorry, that was wrong, please forgive me. I've had people that will say, like, I have never heard a pastor say, I was wrong, please forgive me. Like, that's what we're up against, people.
Wow.
I mean, because we have this warped idea of the gospel, we have this warped idea about what it means to be Christian and what it means to be a member of the body of Christ. We have these weird cultures within church because of just the way people are, that if I'm a Christian, I need to be good. I need to prove to everybody I'm a Christian, or I just don't really want people to bother me about the things I'm doing wrong, so I'm going to kind of shield myself off. And how much more is that true for pastors who really don't want to get called on the carpet for stuff, because sometimes you have congregations that are just harassing the pastor endlessly, relentless accusations and critiques, and I don't like this, I don't like that, and wow, you're an idiot, and they never say the good stuff, right? And so you get pastors who tend to be very defensive. I mean, I've certainly been there myself, and I don't think I've experienced nearly what other people have, other pastors have. But if you screw up, own it, because that's literally the gospel. Like, how are people ever going to believe in Jesus, to believe that there is a God who forgives, if they never encounter a Christian, or more specifically, a pastor who believes they need to be forgiven? Like, that they see it in real time.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, well, yeah, I was forgiven a long time ago, but no, I'm all put together. And yes, God who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ, but that day has already come for me. And it's like, whoa. Wait a second. So maybe that's your role. Maybe you just don't be a jerk. Be a normal person. You know, don't get sucked into trying too hard to be normal, like drinking or cussing or swearing or indulging in all kinds of things. That's not helpful. That comes up in another chapter. But don't overdo it. But, yeah, just be a normal person and say, like, yeah, hey, that's a good question. You know, I don't even know. Let me find that out. Like, whoa. What kind of humility does that show?
It's a big thing these days, especially with the younger people. Maybe it was the same way when I was younger too, but they don't want to be judged. You know, yeah, they may do something, but don't call me on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a part of my life, or, you know, it's just a decision I made, but nothing is wrong, and don't judge me on that.
But think about how fragile a person you have to be to not be able to ever hear criticism.
Right.
Like, how do you actually ever get better at anything if you can't hear, oh, that's not really good. Like, if you really want to be successful, you're going to have to do this. I mean, I feel like I wish I had people sometimes, not always, that would tell me things. You know, there have been plenty of situations and I couldn't get people, like, I'm actually asking about a specific thing. And they're like, oh, you know, you get it, you know, this, that. But think about how fragile we have to be to not be able to do it. Think about how badly they need Jesus if they can't hear something like that. You know, Jesus gives you a foundation that you should be able to weather anything. But a lot of Christians, we don't dig deeper, right? So, like, we recognize our need, we believe in Jesus, we get baptized, we learn about Jesus, we go to church, we do a variety of things. But we haven't always been good about applying the gospel in a very practical, real way in the moment. And that is actually where spiritual growth happens. And so when you compound that with the fact that people around us are already not really able to hear it, and we're not really making that application ourselves, we get kind of sensitive too. But if the king of the universe says you're kind of special, what does it matter what anybody else says? And see, right there, if you do that, and then you have an opportunity to share that story about how, yeah, there was this one time where I was really nervous, and I was really mad, or I was really anxious because I was wondering what this person would say, how I would be judged in this way or that way, or how I was judged. But then I remembered that the creator of the universe loves me endlessly and has given his son, sacrificed everything to make sure that I am with him always. Well, then I didn't worry about what Joe or Jane or social media bullies or whatever had to say, because I had what I already need in Jesus. That's a way to talk about it. And that's a way to show people, like, oh, wow, they handled that criticism pretty well. You know, like, so again, what is your link in the chain? Maybe it's just not being an a-hole when people criticize you. Show them the gospel. Show them the power of building on an identity grounded in Jesus. Those things, that's what the early church did. You know, they looked and they said, look at how they die. They're singing hymns and just standing there. You know, they fed them to the lions, right? And the reason why they did that was because, you know, they would either run, which was entertaining. Like, you think you're going to outrun a lion? What? Or they would fight, which was equally entertaining because it's like, you think you're going to beat a lion? I got to see this.
Could be like with some of these videos, right?
Oh, yeah. Just imagine the brain rot we could have created 2,000 years ago.
Like when the bull gets loose and all the rodeo clowns are running and he's flipping them around in the air like they're nothing. Yeah.
They're like, whoa, did you see that? Right? That's the kind of stuff they're doing. Then imagine these people get rounded up. They call themselves Christians. They put them in the arena and they just stand there. And they sing. And they hold hands and pray. And the animals don't know what to do exactly, and it just kind of is boring for a while, and eventually the animal is so used to the hunt, it's kind of bored too, but maybe it finally goes, all right, well, if you're just going to sit there, I'm hungry, so... And they did it with such confidence and joy and peace that there are historical writings, that'll say things like, look at how they die. There's something about how they die. And then in other places, you'll see that it was how they lived that shocked people. Mm-hmm. The earliest apologetics, apologetics is just the term for the defense of the Christian faith. So what is it that needs to be defended in the culture that's around you? Today, it's usually about ideas, about beliefs, but it wasn't always like that. Early on, it was about how they lived. They were defending in writing how they lived, why they lived the way they did, besides, of course, the fact that Jesus said so. God says so. His word said so. And, so why are you only, they would say things like, they share their foods and possessions with everyone and their beds with no one. They live like brothers and sisters, but they don't, sleep around with each other like is happening all around them. Just shocking the way they lived. And they don't worship, right? In some cases, Christians are called atheists because they don't have a God like all the other people. They don't have a statue, a stone or wood or gold or silver statue that they put in a little temple, shrine or something like that, and burn up food and offer it to the idol. They don't do anything like that. They are, so Roman Empire is like everybody had a god and everybody has to honor everybody else's god. Sort of like today, right? Like you believe whatever you want and everyone has to accept that or honor it or whatever the case is. But then the Christians come along and they say, well, we're not doing any of that. And then even in Rome, you got even a emperor worship, right? So there's this aspect, and they don't do that. They're the atheists. They don't have a god in the small g sense, the idol sense. They don't have a temple where they do this kind of, right? Even the Jews had a temple where they had sacrifices, and now Christians are going around saying, no, we don't need to sacrifice. It's all been paid in Jesus, and they're hiding out in various places to be able to worship and do the things that they do. Just blew people's minds. So how is our life shocking to the world around us? And in various places that might be harder to do. You've got a lot of Christians around you. It's hard to shock Christians in a good way. So how do you live in a way that shocks people but is also attractive to them? The early church grew in large part because of the way these marginalized groups were incorporated and protected essentially by the faith, right? So women were not allowed to be promiscuous. Husbands were. You know, I was reading something on Facebook the other day about brothels. This pastor I know, he shared this thing. It's actually from Wes Huff, I think.
Oh, really?
So maybe you've seen it, or maybe you will see it, where he's talking about brothels in the early Roman Empire. They would actually be between family homes. Like, it wasn't all like some red light district. It was between affluent family homes, and it was a center of, relationship, community. Like, if you didn't go to a brothel, you didn't get to talk to certain people. It was expected that, you had a wife or whatever, but you stopped at the brothel on the way home, or if you got bored or whatever the case was. I don't know. I forget some of the details on there, but it's like, imagine you're in that society and all of a sudden you follow a Lord that says that's not okay. That freaks people out. I'm not going to participate in that.
Right.
And not only that, but at the brothel, they know it's a brothel in part because there's a ton of dead babies.
Mm.
Because obviously there's activity going on there that creates babies. And in the Roman Empire at the time, infanticide was perfectly legal. Up until 2, I've actually heard in some cases up until the age of 5, the father had the right to kill his children.
Mm.
To just say, I don't want to waste resources on this one. That was the culture. And so that's what they did with the babies in the brothels in the early Roman Empire.
Wow. That's shocking.
And then you get Christians who come along and start picking up the babies that they leave for dead and raising them as their own. You get women who are protected by that. You have slaves who are protected in a variety of ways. Masters who are encouraged to treat slaves better. It freaks people out and attracts people at the same time. So, mission is here. Mission is now. Mission is me. It's you. You. Whoever it is listening, watching. It's me. And what role you play in what spot you are in the chain, I don't know. But whatever it is, even if it's just being that person that lives a certain way, has peace, has joy, has strength, comfort, and all kinds of things that most people don't have, has a rock-solid identity, is not burdened by the opinions of others the way most people today are. You're just one in a long line of people, the 10 or 20 or 30 or 1,000 people that God has lined up to bring someone closer to Jesus. Your spot, whatever it is, doesn't matter, but you are called with your set of experiences, with your faith and the faith lessons and faith development that you've experienced over the years. Those are the things that's why God puts you in front of whoever it is. Don't miss it. Don't miss it.
Be awake.
Be awake. Wake up. Hello. Yep. Anything I missed out on?
No,
Forgot?
I don't think. I think you covered it.
So Hear Now Me. One last thing.
Okay.
I forgot this note here I made last week. So if you're looking at the church, if you're looking at America, if you're looking at wherever you may be, China, France, Germany, Vietnam, Russia, Middle East somewhere, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. I don't know. There's some weird places that I see get connected to us sometimes. If you're concerned about the state of the church, or you're concerned about your culture, your nation, your city, we often want to blame other people. Right? The state of the church in America has not been great for a number of years now. Michael Jackson has a song
Okay.
that
Look at the man in the mirror.
exactly,
Sorry, I'm borrowing your
exactly. You know, you look out, you see all these things. What's the lesson in that song? I don't think there's a song, and he's a problematic guy, this guy, but the man in the mirror, that song, I don't think there's songs today that have the kind of depth of some of his songs. Certainly not that one. Everyone else's, the problems are out there. I'm going to forget all of them. I'm going to just leave them in the dust. I'm going to do my own thing. I don't care. The problems in the world, solving those problems, solving the church's issues, the challenges we face. Don't go around blaming people. Don't go around trying to twist people's arms. Take a look in the mirror and say, it starts with me. It starts with the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. I'm asking him to make a change. No message could have been any clearer. Right? Let's make that change. So that's what the book is about in general.
You should have started with the beginning with humming Man in the Mirror instead of Mission Impossible.
I already had. I must get him to change his ways. Yeah,
that is
maybe.
A good song, though.
It is a good song.
It's surprising that when you hear it's Michael Jackson, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, maybe he could have taken some of his own advice. I don't know.
Maybe he was trying
But
to, anyway.
There's some very divided sides on that. You know. So I'm not looking to try and sort through that. I have no idea. But the guy did have some pretty good music. So that's it. Here, now, me, the man in the mirror, your mission, if you choose to accept it. This message may self-destruct in 10 seconds, or what is it, 5 seconds? So get busy. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Ice cream is sweet, but Jesus is far sweeter. And if he's that sweet, what do you do when you have a great ice cream flavor? You tell people about it. That's what I do. So go tell somebody about Jesus. Go put yourself where God has already placed you. Put yourself in a position to share Jesus with somebody.